All right, let's go ahead and get started. So for those of you who don't already know, I'm Heather. I'm Floreo's Director of Customer Success. And this webinar today is to tell you something pretty exciting. We are changing the way that Floreo's platform is coached. So as you guys know, up until this moment, and even today, Floreo has required an iPad for coaching each of your Floreo sessions. And we have been working on something behind the scenes here for a few months now. We are actually moving to a browser-based coach experience. And what that means is that you no longer are married to that iPad as your coach device. You can use any device that has a browser. So that means your Chromebooks, your laptops, your desktops. You can still use your iPad if you'd like to use the browser on there. Android tablets. All of those devices can now, well, soon, be used to coach your Floreo sessions. So I'm going to walk you through some of the changes that we've made as part of this big upgrade and give you a sneak peek of what you can look forward to when we launch in the very near future. So just want to give you a little bit of terminology here that you might hear me use today. I am going to call the original Floreo app the legacy Floreo app. And the new Coach Browser experience, I will be calling the Coach Browser experience. So just want to point that out there because I know that it can be a little bit confusing. If you are hearing me say legacy app, I mean the original Floreo version that you guys are still using today. And if I am talking about the browser-based coach experience, that means the fun stuff that's coming soon. I'm also going to give you a sneak peek here of the browser experience in a moment here, and also give you some information about how the transition is going to affect you and things that you need to do to get ready for it. We'll also make sure that we have time for Q&A. So if you do have questions as I'm talking here and showing you all the fun stuff, then please put them into that Q&A. I will make sure that everyone's questions get answered before I leave the call today. So let me stop this particular screen share and move over to the next one. So when we launch here in the next week or so, and not to worry because we are going to remind you a whole bunch more times, we will be pointing you to download a new Floreo version for your learner device. So on your iPhones or on your Quests or on your Pico devices, you are going to be asked to download a new version of Floreo for that learner device. And when that launch takes place, you are going to be using your favorite device with your favorite browser to access coach.floreovr.com. And this is what you'll be looking at. And if you actually want to look at it today, you can. It's live right now. You can log in with the same Floreo username and password that you use to access the legacy app. You just won't be able to run your Floreo sessions just yet. So when we officially launch, you will, of course, be able to run your Floreo sessions via your browser. But if you just want to poke around and get familiar with things, you can do that along with me today. So if you go to coach.floreovr.com, you'll see the screen that I'm currently screen sharing, and you'll be able to log in with your Floreo username and password. And I'm going to do that along with you. When you sign in, you're going to see your list of current learners, or if you haven't created a learner yet, you will see the button that says Add Another. You will also see up at the top that some of your management tools are over here on the right side where it says Floreo Support. That's the account that I'm in here. You can go to your profile, your settings, and find out how to contact support if you need it. And of course, you can log out as needed as well. If you tap into your learner profile over here on the Coach Browser experience, you are going to see the new welcome page. And this is kind of similar to what you might expect from the legacy app, but it looks very new and polished and different. We've been doing some work to streamline things to make them easier for you to access and easier for you to find as you are working with the various Floreo tools that already exist as well. So when you log in, you will be able to see the menu on the left side, which will take you to your custom lesson plans if you have them for your learner. My learner Ben doesn't have any yet. Sorry for him. Maybe I'll make him one later. You can also go to the Floreo portal, which is, as you guys know, your administrative tool for accessing all of your learner details, like their reporting, those custom lesson plans, and also our AI recommendations. And because we're still working on some things, since we're still technically in a little bit of a beta phase here, we do have some known issues that we're still working on and hope to have fixed before we officially launch. But if you're running into something that's not working as expected, then we always encourage you to reach out to us at support@floreovr.com. I'm going to go back home here, and all I did was tap on that little home button, but you can also use your back button to go anywhere, to go back like you would a normal web page. You can also click on the Floreo logo, and that will take you right back to the home page as well. And we have tried to make it as easy as possible for you to get back where you need to be. Up at the top, you will see a search bar. Again, this is probably going to be kind of familiar to you because you are already legacy app users. But it's right there at the top of your coach experience, and you can search for the lesson that you might be looking for. As you guys have probably seen me do in all of your trainings, I always like to look for the yoga lessons. So I started typing it in there. You can see it pops up super quickly, and it is easy to find what you're looking for there. A big change here is we are now putting front and center our brand new lessons to make it as easy as possible for you to find those lessons. This is a carousel, so if we tap on the arrow button, we can see the latest and greatest Floreo lessons. And hopefully that will help you to find what you might be looking for if you're looking for our brand new releases and all of the exciting stuff that our content team is currently producing. If we scroll down a little bit more, you'll see that you also still have access to all of Floreo's lessons, outside of the ones that we're still working on transitioning over at this particular moment. And we have also added in some awesome filtering tools for you. One of the things that we hear regularly from our customers is that it can sometimes be difficult to find the lessons that are most applicable to their individual learners. We've introduced these filtering tools so that you can filter the Floreo content library to find lessons that might be in a particular area that you are looking to work on with your learner. So we allow you to search by language level. You could also search for a particular age. You could search by skills address. This is also brand new. We've tagged all of our lessons to fit into these different skill categories that might also be applicable to things that you're working on with your learner. You can change the way that you sort the lesson library. So right now I have it sorted by category, but you could also sort it by recently added. So if you want to see the most recently added Floreo lessons up at the top, that will make it as easy as possible for you to find those as well. If we scroll down a little bit more, you can see that all of the Floreo lessons that you know and love are available in their familiar skill categories. And when we tap on any of the lessons, we'll be taken to a lesson description page. This looks a little bit different than the lesson description page that you are familiar with in the Legacy app. One of the things that we've added to this page is the accessibility requirement section. This is an important section. It's actually an addition based on feedback from one of our customers. They mentioned that sometimes it was difficult to know if a lesson might be applicable to a learner based on maybe limited mobility or things that were difficult for them to do. The example that they gave was they have a learner who is in a wheelchair, and so it's difficult for them to turn all the way around to maybe see a character or an object that is directly behind them. So they wanted to know that information front and center before they even started the lesson with the learner, so that the learner didn't end up feeling disappointed that they couldn't actually play the lesson. So that's why we have added this brand new section, this accessibility requirement section, so that as coaches, you'll know upfront, oh, hey, this is indeed a good fit for my learner, or it's not, and I can pivot to a different lesson. We also have our lesson description section where you can read about the skills that are addressed, all of the information about that particular lesson. And this should be pretty familiar to you. It just looks a little bit different and a little prettier over here on this new lesson description page. We'll also show you a related lesson or related lessons. So if you decide, oh, hey, I actually don't want to work on choosing my greeting, I want to work on small talk instead, then you can click directly over to that lesson instead. We also will allow you to add lessons to your favorites. So if you have particular lessons that you like the most, then you can star them and that will rise them to the top in your Floreo experience as well. When I tap on that start lesson button, you're going to see that the new coach experience over here on the browser looks a little bit different than what you might be used to. And I haven't started my lesson yet, so you can see that it's telling me that my player is not connected and I need to wait until my player is online. That is because I haven't logged in over on my learner device just yet. I'm going to do that in a moment, but before I do, just want to point out a couple of things that you'll see over here. If I scroll down a little bit more, you can see that we can now look at the lesson description while we're in the lesson. So if you forget what Choose Your Greeting is about while you're playing that lesson, or you just aren't sure how to coach your learner through that experience, that information is going to be available to you right there within the lesson interface. Also, if you are an expert on Choose Your Greeting or any of our other lessons, you have the option to minimize that particular part. It makes your screen a little bit more streamlined. We're trying to give you some flexibility in the way that you are looking at things. So I'm going to show you what I think you all are waiting with bated breath for. I'm logging into my learner device and I'm using an iPhone today because it's a little easier for me when I'm demoing by myself. And I've already logged in to my Floreo app, the streaming app, which you guys don't yet have access to, but you will very soon. And I'm going to select my same learner. So I've got my learner Ben here, and I want to just point out before I tap on Ben's name, I want you to notice how quickly my devices start to talk to each other and how quickly this lesson pops up. All I've done here is log into both devices, select, and I'm about to select the same learner on both, and I have selected a lesson over there on the coach browser experience. When I tap on Ben's name, you're going to see that almost immediately the lesson starts to load. And after a couple of seconds, the lesson actually pops up right there in my coach browser experience. We are really excited about this particular aspect. We know that sometimes pairing issues have plagued some of our users depending on network strength and network permissions issues. And so we are hopeful that this is going to make things a lot easier for you guys who maybe were running into pairing stuff in the past. We're actually not even calling it pairing anymore because that's not really what it is anymore. The lesson is streaming from my iPhone directly to my browser. And as soon as the lesson loads, you'll see exactly what your learner is seeing as you are already familiar with. One of the big changes over here on the browser experience is that we have done away with the blue banner for coach guidance. And you'll see on the right side that it has a new section called lesson transcript. We put all of our coach guidance and suggested wording and dialogue over there in the lesson transcript section. Some feedback that we've gotten over the years is that the language in the blue banner disappears too quickly. So if you don't read it right away, maybe you're helping your learner to put the headset on, or you're helping them with another task, and you weren't looking down at your iPad at that particular time, you might not know what that blue banner language said. So the lesson transcript section is going to solve that issue for you. You'll see when I start the lesson in a moment here that it captures all of the coach's action items, all of the coach guidance, all of the coach's button taps, and it will all stay there on that right side for the duration of your session. And before I start the lesson, just one more thing. We left those green lines in there, so you'll always know where your learner is looking. So again, if my learner is not participating as expected, I know that, and I can redirect them and otherwise guide them to participate in a different way. I'm going to start the lesson here, even though I know that a lot of you have probably seen me demo this exact lesson. The point is not to actually get the content here, it's just to see the differences. So when I tap on the Start Lesson button, I get my coach language. So the other difference over here in the lesson transcript is that when we want the coach to say something, the suggested dialogue for them, it's going to say, you say. So as the coach, I'm looking for the dialogue where it tells me that you say. And down below that, you can see that I now have an action item as the coach. It's kind of glowing. You can see that it wants me to do something, and the lesson is going to wait until I tap one of those options. So since I'm in Choose Your Greeting, my action item as the coach is to choose from the greeting types that Floreo has available. So I'm going to choose the friendly greeting, and when I do that, you can see that that particular menu is now grayed out. I can't tap it again at this time. And I get some more coaching language. I see someone coming to the party.
Hey, I'm here for the party.
This is our character, Ayana. And you can see that now it says NPC said. So this is kind of gamer speak. NPC means non-player character. And in the future, we are going to actually name the characters here. So it'll say Ayana said instead of NPC said. But our team is still working on that particular feature. But I always like to point out what NPC means because it is a little bit in the weeds for some. You might not know what that means, but it means non-player character. This is another action item for me, the coach. You can see that my menu is glowing again. And depending on how my learner responded to Ayana's greeting, I'm going to tap one of the 4 options. All of this is exactly how the lesson is played over there in the Legacy app. None of the actual content in this lesson has changed. So I'm going to say that yes, my learner independently greeted Ayana. So you got it. Great job responding to the greeting.
See you in the party.
We get a friendly goodbye from her. She heads back into the classroom. So another thing about the lesson transcript here that I want to point out is if you want to review the buttons that you tapped or what the character said at a particular time in your session, or something that maybe you were supposed to say and you missed it, you can always scroll up and down in the lesson transcript section and you'll be able to see all of that information throughout your Floreo session. One other thing that I want to point out on the lesson transcript section is where it says sleep mode. So you guys are probably already familiar with sleep mode. I think a lot of you know and love it, but we've changed it up a little bit. So if I toggle sleep mode on as expected, it turns the screen black on both my coach device and my learner device. The thing that we've made a little bit different is that when I turn sleep mode back on, it puts me exactly where I was when I ended the lesson, when I turned sleep mode back on. It used to be in the Legacy app that if you use sleep mode, it popped you and your learner back to the Floreo lobby. This change to the sleep mode is going to give you a little bit more flexibility in how you use it. So if your learner maybe needs to take a break for a second, or you just need to give them a moment to look at that black screen to have some teaching time with them, there are a lot of different ways that you can use this flexibility with sleep mode. It's not going to end your lesson directly there. It's just going to put you back where you were so you can continue from there. So I'm going to end the lesson early here, and you'll see that I get an overview page. And this is some information, including the lesson transcript section, so I can review it as the coach as soon as I am done with this particular session. All of the buttons that we tapped, all of the data that Floreo was already collecting in the Legacy app, that's still being collected, and it is still provided to you as the coach over there in the Floreo portal. So not to worry, all of that data collection that hopefully is useful for you guys is still being collected. It's still going to be available for you. So let's say you're done working with your learner Ben here and you want to switch to a different learner. You can use these little arrows. You'll also see them on the top right of the home screen when you're in the lesson library as well. You can change learners really easily in the Coach browser experience. Just make sure that you also change the learner over there on your learner device as well. Maybe you've decided actually that you want to keep working with Floreo with Ben. You can go back home to go back to that home screen with the lesson library. You could play this lesson again, or you could play that next recommended lesson. Any of those are good options, but I'm going to go back home and take another look at the Floreo content library. So I just want to pause for a moment and encourage folks to put any questions, any thoughts that you might be having about the browser experience into that Q&A. I am going to make sure that I answer all of your questions before we leave here today. And I want to make sure that you guys have ample time to put them into there if you already have questions. So I already mentioned here that you are able to go directly to the Floreo portal from the Coach browser experience. And I believe I am screen sharing the Floreo portal now, and hopefully I am, but I just wanted to point out that you can go straight from coaching your session into the portal, so you can run your analytics for this learner's lesson plays or play. You could go into the AI recommendation section and find some other lessons that you might want to work on with your learner. You can type in criteria that's interesting to you or interesting to your learner, and Floreo will try to recommend some lessons that are applicable to you and your learner. So I'm going to pause again because I see that there are a couple of questions in the Q&A already. And before I dive into what you can expect from the transition, I want to go ahead and answer those first. Okay, so good question. The first question here is the best browser to use Google? So I don't want to get into the politics of what the best browser is. I'm a Chrome user. We are compatible with kind of the big four browsers. So that would be Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and Microsoft Edge. If you are using Internet Explorer, and some folks are, that is not a supported browser. If you're using a browser like DuckDuckGo, that is also not a supported browser because they block iframes. This might be getting too technical in the jargon for you, but I just want to make sure people know. And it will block the Coach browser experience. If you have questions about a particular browser that you might be using, please let us know. We are happy to work with you on that. And you can reach out to us at support@floreovr.com. Okay, another question about creating custom lesson plans. Will the lessons assigned to learners play in the specific assigned order? Yes, as the coach creating the custom lesson plan, you decide the order of the lesson plan that you would like those lessons to take. And so when you're creating that custom lesson plan over there in the Floreo portal, you decide, oh, I'd like to play Choose Your Greeting, and then I'd like to play Conversation Corner with Jordan and Marcy in the park. So you have that control in the custom lesson plan section of your Floreo portal for each of your learners. And all of your learners can have custom lesson plans created for them. You can make as many lesson plans for as many learners as you would like. There's no limit on that feature. Another good question. So will the learner profiles automatically be transferred to the new app, or will we have to recreate them? Good news. No, you don't have to recreate them. Actually, if you want to log in today, you can go to coach.floreovr.com, log in with your Floreo username and password, and you will see that all of your learner profiles are already over there. You just won't be able to run your Floreo sessions until you have the updated app over there on your learner device. Okay, another good question. So when is the expected rollout? So we are targeting July 31st for the rollout date, and that is about 8 days from now. We are wrapping up some of the loose ends. Our engineering team is burning the candle at both ends to get everything done that they want to get done. Keep an eye on your inbox because we are going to be communicating with you as soon as that release is available. It is really important that you update your learner devices to the new streaming experience. I'm going to talk about that transition in a second here. So be on the lookout for emails from Floreo letting you know that the transition time is here and how you can make those updates. And actually, while I'm talking about updating learner devices, I neglected to mention something that I think most of you are going to be pretty excited about. With the browser-based experience, we are going to introduce a feature that is going to make your Floreo sessions a little bit easier. I can't see you guys, but you can raise your hand and I can imagine how many of you are going to reply in the affirmative here. How many of you guys have experienced a version mismatch during your time with Floreo? And I'm going to imagine that all of you have raised your hands during this time. And the the browser experience is going to unblock you from those version mismatch experiences. So what I mean by that is if you have an out-of-date version of Floreo on your learner device, so your iPhone, your Quest, or your Pico headset, we are not going to stop you from running your Floreo sessions. We are probably going to block you from being able to run the particularly brand new content that's not available on that learner device because you have an out-of-date version on that learner device. But unlike today, where we completely block you from using your Floreo devices to run your session until they've both been updated, we won't block you. You just won't be able to access that new content until your learner device is updated. New content will automatically be pushed to the browser experience as soon as it is available. So for you coaches, it is going to be a lot easier as far as updating devices. You'll just need to communicate with your learners if you are using Floreo for telehealth. We also communicate when there's a release for them, but it's never bad to over communicate in my opinion. Or if you are using Floreo in person, you'll need to make sure that you update the iPhone, the Quest, or the Pico device that you're going to be using with your learner. So it's only the learner device, one device that you'll need to make sure gets those updates, and you won't be blocked from completely using Floreo if you do indeed have a version mismatch. Okay, and then the next question here is the browser something we can screen share over Zoom so that a parent can follow along with the lesson? Yep, absolutely. You just saw me do it. So you can screen share through your Floreo experience, through your Zoom call, and anyone on the other side will be able to see your coach view as well. You can also do that today actually with your iPad. Zoom has a really handy share function for iPads specifically, which I use often and love. But it does make it a lot easier if you're just using the browser, unless you're like me who is terrible at switching tabs and still maintaining the screen share. All right, so continue putting your questions in the Q&A, but while you guys are doing that, I want to talk a little bit about the transition and what it's going to look like for you and your learners. So when that flip the switch moment comes and we officially launch the browser-based coach experience, you as coaches can immediately go to that coach.floreovr.com website, log in with your Floreo username and password. You'll see your list of learners and you'll be able to run your Floreo sessions immediately upon updating to the newest version of Floreo on your iPhone, on your Pico, or on your Quest. Quest and Pico users specifically, you will not have a grace period. You will not be able to use your iPad legacy app after the transition. iPhone users, there is going to be a little bit of a grace period for you. The legacy app will still be available for you. So if it takes you a little bit of time to get your learners up to date on your iPhone, on your iPhone, then you will have a little bit of that grace period. The one thing to know, if you are an iPhone user, the legacy app, which is going to have the blue Floreo logo that you are already familiar with, is not going to be compatible with the Floreo for Streaming app. So if you have the legacy app on your iPad and you're trying to use the new streaming app on your iPhone, you're not going to be able to run your Floreo session. You will have to use the coach browser experience on the device of your choice in order to use the new streaming app. And Quest and Pico folks, we are going to kind of force the issue for you. It is going to completely override the Floreo that you know and love that's already in your app library as soon as you make that update. iPhone users, it's going to be a little bit of a transition for you. There will be a grace period. We would recommend that you make the switch right away because we are going to stop updating the legacy app. We will not be releasing new content at all to the legacy app after this past release with the pool party safety lesson and the pets and friends lesson. There will be no new content released to the legacy app as of this past release. So it does behoove you to make the switch as soon as possible. If your team needs a new refresher training or they need some information that would help support them during this transitional period, We know change is hard. We know that sometimes it can be difficult for folks to try to learn something new. We think it's pretty intuitive. We think that it's going to be an easy switch. Our beta testers have given us some really great feedback. We've changed some things based on that feedback. And I think that you'll find that the move is a great one and that it is going to be helpful for you. But we are here to support you along the way. If there are things that our team can do to help your staff members to get familiar with the streaming app, we can do personalized trainings with you. I will also be hosting some more webinars, probably post-launch. But I'm always happy to set up some time to talk with you and your team and make sure that you're feeling comfortable with the switch, that you know what to expect, and that you know how to use the new experience. And of course, if you run into trouble along the way, if there is a steep learning curve for you guys, then we're here along the way as well. We will encourage you to reach out to us if you have any hiccups or if you have any questions. That is what our team is for. We are here to support you. We want to make this as seamless as possible for you and your teams. So it looks like there's another question on the Q&A here. So just to be clear, the Floreo app will stop from working, or is the blue logo one? So I'm not really sure what this means, but I'm going to try to answer to the best of my abilities here. The legacy app, so the blue Floreo app that you currently have on your iPad and your learner device, is not going to be updated from now on. So we're not going to stop it from working. We are just not going to support it anymore. This is similar to what you might be familiar with other apps that have kind of changed things up. They still exist. You could still have it on your devices. It's just not something that we're going to continue to update. We are going to focus on our browser coach experience from now on. So all of our new content is going to be available via the browser coach experience only. So hopefully that answered your question there. Other questions that you guys have, please feel free to put them into the Q&A. And I want to just take a moment too and just celebrate with you because I'm really excited about this transition. I've been with Floreo almost 7 years now, and this is the biggest change that we've had during my time here. And I've seen some really big change and some really cool stuff. But this, in my opinion, is one of the coolest things that we have done. It's going to make Floreo more accessible to more folks. So if you think about families that you might work with, or maybe they wanted to get Floreo to use at home for homework, but maybe they didn't have an iPad at home. Now they are going to have access to Floreo because they can use any device as their coach device. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about deploying Floreo, the folks that you're working with, the staff members that you might be working with. Maybe it was a limitation on you guys because you only had one iPad and you were sharing it amongst 5 staff members. This is going to open up that flexibility for all of your organizations. We're hopeful it's going to make things easier and more stable for you. So doing away with those pairing issues, those version mismatches, which I know are the bane of a lot of people's existences. So we're super excited about this big shift, and I hope you guys are too. So I don't see any other questions in the Q&A. So just another quick reminder, please feel free to put any questions into this Q&A while I'm still talking. But if you have questions after the big switch and after today, then please reach out to us at support@floreovr.com. And remember to keep an eye on your inbox because we are going to be communicating about the exact timing of this release. I'm sorry, I can't give you exact times just today, but it is imminently coming. It's coming really soon, and we will support you every step of the way.